Hello, everyone. I'm Ryan Pecorata. It's a pleasure to be able to speak to you tonight. In the weeks leading up to this election, I spoke with many of my friends about the state of SPU. Throughout these conversations, I was reminded of a line from a Falcon article that came out last year where a student described SPU as a sinking ship. Everyone I spoke to sees the water sinking in, and many just want to jump ship before they drown. I do not like that. I believe there is something here at this school that we cannot just let sink. In working as the editor-in-chief of our literary and arts journal, Lingua, I have seen firsthand the amazing creativity of our students. Piece after piece that was submitted knocked my socks off, and that's not even including the outstanding work from my staff, who I could spend the entirety of the speech gushing over. It's not just Lingua, though. In sitting on the board of student media, I've seen how powerful our other creative organizations are. KSPU stands tall as a beacon of community on campus, and the Falcon is single-handedly keeping our student body informed. A lot of students have never even heard of these groups. I believe that if our administration starts to be less external-facing and instead focuses on highlighting the students that we have on campus right now, we will see more and more people gaining actual pride in our school. That is why I will push to entrench our student-run creative groups as central pieces within our school and help to guide them through difficult times, such as the Falcon's current troubles with losing the journalism program. But it isn't just lack of pride that has caused an onset of student apathy at our school. The Falcon article I quoted earlier, which was published during last year's spring quarter, repeatedly referenced our university's instability, the sense that any second, any piece of the school could change or even completely disappear. Unfortunately, almost a year out from that article, that uncertainty still remains. In fact, right now, the latest article in the Falcons news section is about a student who, after being hired over the summer and having already started working, was cut from a tutoring position on campus and is now forced to look for a different job. As it is right now, it's impossible for students to rely on anything here. It's hard to invest in something that may not exist tomorrow. What we need, beyond just the growth of school pride, is some clarity. We students need to have a sense of what programs are safe and which ones are still changing. If I'm elected, I will make it a top priority to be transparent and to pressure our administration to provide that necessary clarity. I believe that if we protect the creativity already present on campus and provide our students with a clear view of the future, we will see monumentous growth in the community here. This campus is filled with incredible and talented individuals, and it should be both ASSP and SPU administration's first priority to support the students that are here now. To build a community that cares, vote for Ryan Pecorata. Thank you all very much for listening.
Thank you for your speeches. This question is for all three of you. So this position, all of your positions require a lot of communication with students, and it's useful to have experience with relationship building, personal communication, and just general interpersonal skills. Suppose that you were to disagree with someone on your leadership team. What strategies might you use when there is a disagreement or possible tension, and how might you express your views?
As for me, I think communication is something I'm very big on, and I think, especially when conflict arises, just talk with everyone involved. Talk more than you need to, more than you think you need to. Make sure and try to find some solution that kind of threads the line. I mean, maybe nobody's happy because with true compromises, nobody enjoys those, but it's going to make no one mad. That's the other thing. Is with compromise. I like to decentralize my own opinion from the situation. Even though I know my own opinion is important, a lot of times when there's a disagreement, when there's a conflict, I just take myself out of it, look at things objectively, and spend some time introspecting on what really, what's the situation, what's a way we can find a path through, and looking at it as though I was an outside observer, not someone with real skin in the game, So that's kind of the way I approach conflict, is take a step back, take time, and communicate.
For me, it's not right for me to...
Resources that are available to you, like writing help, tutoring, some tables, just having a real presence from, just from the moment a student gets on campus, they know what they need, what help there is. If I'm struggling in class, I can go these office hours, I can go get tutoring. But also communication goes both ways. You asked about about changing to a fit modern times. really think the best way to change and answer current problems on campus is just talk with students. Like, what do they need? Talk to as many students as possible, because communication, that flows both ways. From the students, it's really important to be, like, from my position, it's really important to just talk to as many students as possible from many different walks of life. Ask what they need and really listen. And put those questions to administration, put those needs higher up, and just listen to the students.
I took the question, like, how can we do better academically? And I'm thinking about the relationship between professor and students. I feel like there's a lot of, all these classes are really good, but when there is a connection.
I heard Carl mention something about, like, just your sense of identity within, like, the student body, and I feel like that's missing, so that's a good point that you bring up. My question would be, how would any of you guys on the panel help it change that, or how, like, cultivate that sense of identity? Because some examples include just our basketball games. Like, I was at one, like, 2 weeks ago, and I was maybe one of 10 people that I knew who go to SPU, and the other people that supported that team. When you know you have a student body that's like 1,500, 2,000 people, and they know there's a game, or they know there's some sort of activity on campus, but it's just that motivation to actually show up to them, have that community there. How do we, or how are you guys planning on getting that? I won't be here after this. I'm a senior anyways, but I would like to see SPU just, be more than just SPU. People are afraid to tell other people that we go to SPU because we just don't own it. So how would you guys change that?
I think that's that one. I talked, like, during my speech, I talked a lot about creative groups, and I think that's, for me, where I found a lot of community and a lot of personality in SPU. When someone asks, like, hey, what do you like about SPU? First thing I name is Lingua. First thing I name, or second thing I name is Falcon. But I think, for every student, that is different. Like, what you identify with on campus is different. Where you find that community, and really the thing we need to do is, as an administration, support those student-run groups, because I think where most of the community and that, like, sense of being on campus and being a part of campus comes from student-run groups. And if the administration can provide backing, can provide focus on them, and highlight these student-run groups and say, look, this isn't just a bunch of students doing a thing. This is a real part of this campus. That's what I want to focus on, is supporting student-run groups, supporting clubs, supporting the athletics, supporting our Board of Student Media, and putting that administrative power behind them to bring them to every single student, so every single student is aware and cares about
homework project, all those things. And so it would be, it's not going to be an easy load, as always, but remembering what is really important, I think will be one of my motivations.
I'm a big task-based organization person, so, like, I like to list out all of my tasks, both the fun ones and the boring ones, before I do them. And a lot of times I'll separate, like, the tasks into 2 separate groups. I'll say, this is the group that I want to do, and this is the group I really don't want to do. And I'll make a deal with myself and say, well, do you want it from this? Do you want it from the list that you don't want to do? And then, as a reward, you get to do a fun task. So I like to do a reward-based system where I force myself to do one, reward myself with the other, and then sooner than I usually expect, I'm done with all of the things.
Okay, I think we'll take 1 or 2 more questions. Cal?
So it's not just, a job, it's also something that is paid for by the entire student body. The student fee goes to minor positions. What would you say to students who are wondering how you're going to fulfill that obligation that payment entails?
I would ask the student what they want, and just be like, what do you need here on campus? What do you need to be improved? And what would make it worth it for you? Like, what would make it worth it for a student? And I also ask myself, what would I say? I'm also a student. I'm paying that student fee. What would make it worth it for me to have, to pay the servant first in this position. If I'm elected, I'm here to serve the students. So really, it's just like talk with as many students as possible and change what needs changing. Because I think, I mean, as I outlined in my speech, a lot of students are somewhat dissatisfied with how things are running, and are at least a little worried about the future of SQ. So now more than ever, we need actual students who feel those